In order to reduce the mess that removing the pan is going to do, I took off the inlet transmission cooler line and have it running through this hose into this drain container. I'm going to run the engine for a short time and use the pump to pump out most of the fluid, so that way there won't be so much in the pan to deal with when you take it down. You don't have to do it this way is optional. Wow, that stuff's nastier than I thought. It smells weird too. If there's any issues with the new stuff, I'm gonna save the old stuff. When you get enough out, turn the engine off. This is what they gave me at AutoZone. See the number there? It's a filter and gasket kit. And the cover under the truck says that the gaskets were usable, which is hard to believe. So I guess we'll see that when we get in there. There's the pan right there. It's got 14 10mm bolts. Gonna loosen those up and then carefully lower the pan. There shouldn't be much fluid left in it. So I'm just gonna try to carefully lower it down to the ground. I got cardboard, of course. Now I'm not sure as far as the pattern, but some people say you gotta go crisscross with these to loosen them, and then some people say you can just loosen them one by one in order. I guess do what you're comfortable with. But there is a pattern to retorque these at the end. Oh, that sucker was on there tight. I'm just gonna break them loose, but where the metal is still, or I'm gonna break them loose, but I'm still gonna leave the bolt head making contact with the pan as I go around. I got them all broken loose. Now I'm going to carefully unscrew the ones in the back and work my way to the front so the pan will drop down like this to help get that fluid out if there's any left in here. I'm sure there's still some in there. I got the truck jacked up so it's a little easier to get under here, and then I have a jack stand as well for safety. Definitely got that weird smell, the old fluid, and the dipstick lies just like it does with oil. The dipstick, you check it, it looks pretty clean, but then when you dump it out, it's really nasty looking. So you can't trust your dipstick to tell you how clean your oil or transmission fluid is. Now there's only 2 bolts holding it. Doesn't feel like there's much fluid in here, so I'm just gonna take it down now. I can put my hand under here to hold it, to guide it down, so it doesn't just drop and make a mess, because whatever's in there will splash all over the place. Okay. Now you're gonna carefully guide the pan down. Keep it straight. Wow, see that? There's not much fluid left in there, so pumping it out was a good idea. Oh, made a mess in the cardboard there. There's still maybe half a quart in there. Just gonna let that drip a little bit into the pan. See, it didn't make too much of a mess. And I don't see that little piece in here from the dipstick for the transmission fluid, so that means this was changed before. This is an original fluid, which is good. That magnet looks full. The gasket should just peel off. Wow, these are a nice gasket on here. I wish they would use other gaskets like this that were reusable. Just gonna let this drip for a little while, and then I'm gonna wipe everything off and clean up the pan. Take the old filter out and put in the new filter. You gotta make sure that the new filter is exactly the same as the old one, because sometimes you might get the wrong part, because they have different filter styles and gasket styles for this particular year of truck. Filter should just pull right out. Oh yeah, that's where it's plugged in right there. Make sure the rubber seal that's in here comes out with the filter. If not, you'll have to dig it out of there before you put in the new filter. Yep, and the seal, I can see it. It's still in there. Turn the filter over and dump out the excess fluid that's in it. You should wear gloves when you do this. I just hate wearing gloves because it doesn't feel natural. After you dump out the excess fluid, you're going to want to get a rag and clean up the pan. Get as much of the old stuff out as you can. And also, as a precaution, save the old fluid in case there's issues. Because sometimes that happens. But there's grit and stuff in the old fluid that keeps your transmission going. Hopefully that won't be the problem here. It's weird because I don't know why they call this transmission fluid, because it's clearly a thin oil. You can get another rag if you have to, clean this out. Over here is a magnet that catches the metal shavings as the gears wear, right here. This should probably hard to pull it out, but okay. See that? It's actually not too bad. So this transmission was definitely serviced before, which is good. A lot of people don't service their vehicles. You want to take your cloth and try to get as many of them filings off as you can. You can also spray this pan out with some brake cleaner, or you can use degreaser stuff. But you have to make sure it's completely dry. You have to make sure it's completely dry before you put it back in, if you use the degreaser. Because I believe the degreaser is water-based. You don't want water in here with oil. You probably won't be able to get all the shavings off of this magnet, but get as much as you can. Anything sticking to it's not going to come off in the transmission, so it's not a worry if you don't get it all off. Got the magnet cleaned off, put it back in. Make sure it goes, yep, like that, around that thing that sticks up. After you clean out your pan, then you want to put the new gasket on, make sure it fits. Since this thing is so old, I'm just going to put a new gasket because that gasket's probably original. I don't think you can reuse it forever. And the gasket only will line up with all the bolt holes when it's on the correct way. If I flip this over, some of the holes don't line up. I'm going to use a pick to carefully dig out this old seal. It's really in there. There we go. There's nothing that holds in the new filter. You just press it into that hole. But it takes some old fluid from here and wipe it on this seal. And you just put it in like this. Press it in firmly. And it just stays there. It's kind of weird, but that's what it does. And you're going to get a paper towel or a rag. And to wipe off the matting surfaces, the gasket goes. Just get rid of that excess fluid that's on there. So I can put the cover back on. You're going to get the cover. Put it back in and start screwing in the bolts by hand. What I'm going to do is put a bolt in the front and back. What I think is odd too is it says the pan is equipped with a reusable gasket, but at the same time I'm going to torque these bolts to 10 foot-pounds. I got my torque wrench, and I'm gonna do that in a crisscross pattern. So if I start over here and do this one, then I'm gonna go over here and do this corner, then after that corner, this one, and then that one, and etc. So let's see how this goes. Right there, that's one. And I'm going to do this one back here, the opposite side. Got my custom funnel. I'm going to use this stuff. A gallon is the same thing as 4 quarts. So we're going to put in 4 quarts, and then it should be full. We're going to run the engine a little bit, put it through all the gears, and then check the fluid again once the engine's warm to make sure it doesn't need any more. Just in case there are any issues, I'm going to put the old stuff in this container and keep it. After you let the vehicle warm up a bit, you want to cycle it through each gear. So put your foot on the brake, then this vehicle, the gear selector's up here. So I'm going to start with reverse and go all the way down. Put it in reverse. Keep your foot on the brake. Put it in neutral. Oh, skipped ahead a little bit. That's just how this is designed. It's designed when you put it in reverse, you just give it a light tap. Give this a light tap, and then it puts it in the drive for you. So let's put it in drive. And I put it in second. And then first. Put it back in park. And after it warms up, it's almost warmed up now, so I'm gonna go and check the level again to make sure it doesn't need more fluid. To see it, but it looks like it's right in the bottom. It needs more fluid, so we're going to add some more. Took over 5 quarts out, and so far I only put back 4, so I'm going to add another quart and see what happens. Looks better. It looks like we're full. I'm going to check it one more time. That's it. Here's the original fluid. It actually doesn't look that bad, but when you look at it in a container, it's black. But putting it on that tape, you can see it does still have a little bit of transparency. Here's what it looks like in a paper towel. Then here it is after adding 5 quarts of new fluid. So if this is after 5 quarts of fluid was removed from the system, right, remember it's going to mix with the old stuff. So this is what happened. Still looks about the same. And then get over here to after adding another 4 quarts of new fluid. It's a lot cleaner, but it's still a little dirty. So I changed 13 quarts total in this vehicle, and I think it holds around that amount of fluid, so most of it was removed, hopefully, but there's still going to always be some in there mixed up. Oh, and I forgot to show you, that's what that looks like there in the paper towel. And then the second one looks like that in the paper towel. Now zoom out like this so you can see all of them, how they look. See, the one on the right is definitely a lot cleaner than it started with over here, the original stuff. Actually, this is wrong. I don't know why I wrote that, but when I changed it the third time, I actually added in 8 quarts. This was original before I put anything in. This was after the first 5 quarts. And then this one was after I added 8 more quarts. Sorry about that, I forgot. I added 8 quarts this day, which is 2 gallons of fluid, and this stuff's not cheap. Here's a comparison of the fluids in glass bottles. You can more clearly see the difference. This one has a lot less because I got this by just taking out the dipstick and letting it drip into the bottle. This is what came out the first time before I added any new fluid at all. This is what's in there now. Look at how much cleaner that looks. It still looks a little dirty to me, so it probably still has some contaminants from the original fluid in it, but like I said, it's the way these systems are designed. This is just how it's going to be. You're never going to get all the old stuff out. So what I'll do is next time I'll change it more frequently to help remove more of that stuff. And the bottle doesn't seem to give you a recommendation on the mileage, but I've heard 20,000 miles, so I guess I'll go with that. The truck is running very smoothly now. If you take the transmission fluid out the same way I did, using the pump, then make sure that you only fill up that container about halfway, or you watch it, and as soon as you see the transmission fluid stop coming out of that hose, shut the truck off immediately. And that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, click the notification bell. If you have any suggestions for future videos, leave a comment.